Owen, good to see you walking in and sat there fairly comfortably. Can you give us an update on your back? How is it?
Yeah, drastically improved. I've had extensive treatment and medication the last 2 days, which have helped me no end. I've had a small hit in the nets and hopefully be fit to play in the morning. It will all depend on how I pull up, but aiming to play tomorrow.
Can you also give us an update on Jason Roy? We've obviously been given the news that he's torn a hamstring. Do you know how serious that tear is, and are we likely to see him play again in this tournament?
Yeah, I certainly believe Jason will play again in this tournament. At the moment, he's going to be assessed continuously over the course of the next week. He's out of the next 2 games, so we'll see how he pulls up after that.
But you're optimistic he might be back for Australia?
No, absolutely. If not Australia, maybe the following game. As we know, with injuries, people respond differently to treatment and medication. So it's a matter of giving him enough time to allow him to get himself back into the tournament.
We saw James Vince had a fairly lengthy net. Does that mean that he is the man you're looking at to maybe come in to replace Jason?
Yes, he is replacing Jason Roy tomorrow at the top of the order.
And in terms of the balance of the side, obviously the pitch would have had 2 days to recover from another match. Does it favour the spinners? Are you likely to go down that route?
I think having watched the game, Pakistan, it offered enough for both. I thought with the seam paces it actually went through and bounced quite nicely, and then it turned a little bit with the spinners. So we've just been out to look at the wicket. It still hasn't been dressed up, repaired and rolled, so we'll have another look again in the morning as to what balance of bowling lineup we'll go with. Thank you.
Rory? When yourself and Jason were struggling the other day, had the conversation started about who might be asked to come in should you be needing a replacement in the tournament? You might need to get somebody up to speed. Has those kind of conversations even been had?
We sort of, when we selected the squad, we did have conversations, sort of underlying replacements for particular players. So they're always ongoing in the background, and I'm not involved in a lot of them. I'm sort of quite focused on the group and task at hand. But there are always conversations going on in the background. I think the other day, certainly, it was a matter of getting the 2 scans back and seeing what process we could go through to get us both back playing as quickly as possible. And once we could get an indication of when that might be, we would cross that bridge.
Just wondered, in terms of those people who have been considered, is Alex Hales, is that name in the discussions? Has it been in the discussions, given the last time we spoke to you about him?
Again, I've not been part of any discussion simply because I've been firmly focused on managing the players and everything else that's got ongoing. Again, that's not something. I haven't spoken to Ed Smith since the selection meeting, so yeah, I don't know.
We following, Chris?
On that one, I mean, obviously you were very much heavily involved when Alex was left out of the group. Presumably you'd be the man to decide whether enough time has passed for him to be welcomed back if the need was for a replacement. Would you be inclined to have him back?
I think it would be a case of speaking to Ed, because ultimately Ed gets the final call and say on who is involved in the 15, and then addressing how that would look in a changing room setup. Yeah.
And obviously Jason's a very important player. How long would you be prepared to wait for him if he wasn't fit for, say, Australia?
I think going game on game basis, depending on where we were in the tournament and how crucial the games were that we needed to win, I'd be able to answer that question then. He's obviously a huge part of what we've been doing. He's in the best form of his life, so he's very important.
Are you going to play tomorrow? Are you okay to play?
I hope so. I'm positive about playing, so unless I pull up worse tomorrow, I'll be playing.
Okay, so yeah, see how you are in the morning, but stages are planned to
play.
Yeah,
at this stage, if the game was today, I think I could play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just on Jason, forgive my ignorance, I'm not a doctor, but how quickly can a guy recover from a torn hamstring? Because 10 days seems optimistic.
So you'll have to excuse my ignorance.
It does seem quite optimistic though. 10 days.
Yeah, very optimistic. I mean, there's a reason we'd keep him around. One, obviously, he's a very key player, but two, there is a very optimistic chance of him playing.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
George and then John.
Hi. Is there any thought to getting everyone in the squad again before maybe knockout stages where they could have to come in at short notice? I think you'd sort of ride a cup-style captaincy.
Yeah, at the moment there's not. It's all about qualifying.
Okay.
And if we do get to that period at some stage, we might look into it.
So is there any thought of resting Adil, who hasn't looked at his best, and Mark Wood, whose ankle we know is a little problematic?
No, and I disagree with you. Adil's probably been at his best in the last 2 games. He's been unlucky. He's had 2 drop catches. I think that might have been the turning of maybe how his figures look, but actually how it's coming out of the hand is very impressive.
So his shoulder's fine?
His shoulder's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe?
Plunkett absent today?
Yeah, a little bit of illness, and it's more precautionary to stay away from the group and not to spread anything, and to give him the best chance to be selected tomorrow.
And just on Jason Roy again, there is a little bit of precedent. I mean, he was out for several weeks when he tweaked his hamstring in the Caribbean, came back and hurt his back, stroke hamstring, 3 more weeks for Surrey, early in the season. So the kind of medical history suggests that it might be a more lengthy absence than you hope.
Everything we're hearing from the medical staff suggests otherwise. So, like I said, we're hopeful.
Do they put a number on these things in terms of grade 1, 2, 3? What sort of?
I think they do. That'll be in a report somewhere. Yeah.
Have you heard that?
I've looked at it, but it doesn't register a lot with me. It's right. How long is he going to be out for, and how optimistic can we be?
Right. So you didn't notice a 1 or 2 or 3?
No, I didn't.
Right.
Gentlemen next to you, John, I will take a couple more.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks into the tournament, and 2 of these teams which were supposed to be the strongest ones, England and India. So India have been shaping up quite well. They had a good win over Pakistan here yesterday. So how do you look at India's performance, and do you think they have emerged as your strongest opposition?
I think New Zealand are sliding under the radar. They're extremely strong at the moment, along with India. Both have put in performances. No doubt over the next week or so, we did see Bhuvaneshwar Kumar go down in that last game. No doubt over the next week there will be more injuries and surprises throughout the tournament. So it'll be how teams respond to that and the strength that they have within their squad of 15 players.
Yeah, on the side.
Eoin, given the fact that you are red-hot favourites tomorrow, do you have to be a bit careful on the mental preparation for this match against Afghanistan, not to be a little bit too confident?
I'd like to think in a couple of games so far we've been red-hot favourites, and underlining our preparation is the humility and gratitude in which we go about things, and I think that's an important part of trying to beat teams like Afghanistan. We went through the same process in the warm-up game. They are a strong side. I said previous to the tournament they will beat teams in this World Cup. They haven't managed to do that yet, so that makes tomorrow, a tougher challenge.
Ali, Dean, and I'll finish with the gentleman at the front here.
Sorry, it's going to be 2 if that's all right. Or was it? Does the injury to Jason Roy kind of underline what an opportunity Alex Hales has kind of passed up at this World Cup?
I think that was recognised at the start of, I suppose, his deselection. Yeah. And
can I just ask, how wary are you of Rashid Khan on a used pitch? Obviously, we've seen the Merlin spin bowling machine out in the nets today. Is that something that the players it's a big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're 3 spinners. It's probably their strongest component as a team. It's a challenge that we're going to have to overcome. Pretty much every time we play against an Asian team, that's the case. You look over at where they're practicing against quicks, and look over at our nets, we're practicing against spin. That's just a challenge that both sides come up against.
Eoin, you said that James Vince will play tomorrow. Forgive me if you did say, will he definitely open the batting?
He will definitely open the batting, yeah.
And did you give any thought, maybe if Moeen comes back in, as to where he might bat? His batting output is not kind of matched up to his bowling at the moment. Are you at all concerned about that? And maybe the power play might be a reasonable place for him to get some form?
I think it's a reasonable place for everybody to get some form. It seems to be the nicest place to bat at the moment. But I mean, if we manage to qualify, we'll look at players and how they're going and what sort of time in the middle or bowling they need to get under their belt for later stages. But our first priority at the moment is trying to get into that top 4 slot.
And just in terms of the pitch and the conditions, are you still very much a field first attitude, or do you think
I'm
that
not
might
quite
have to
sure at the moment.
switch?
I'm not quite sure. I'm interested to see if the turn off the wicket might have been because of the weather that was around the other day. It might have been a bit tacky. At the moment, it feels very hard. So in the morning, we'll have a look and see if it's soft or if it's rock hard, and make a call then.
Last one at the front here. Here.
Thank you so much. This is Jafar from Voice of America, Afghanistan service. How crucial tomorrow match is to you? Do you think you will take Afghanistan like lightly or as a serious team, because you have already beat them in warm-up match?
In effect, the warm-up match doesn't mean a great deal. This week for us is a very important week. We've had a lot of space in between games, which has allowed us to come into the games that we've played extremely fresh. I think the challenge over the next week or 10 days is going to be how quickly we can bounce back from either good results or defeats. Thank you very much. Thank you.